last night, as I was laying down to bed, I basically did my last little scroll to see if I missed anything throughout the day. And I saw a post from the Firearms Policy Coalition related to the VanDerStok v. Garland case, which is the frame and receivers rule. The ATF has filed their reply brief in their case that is currently at the Supreme Court on the merits. And I'm like, oh, great. I get to start my day tomorrow with a healthy dose of red coat. It's going to be a great day. Can't wait. And of course, that was exacerbated by the fact that my wife drank all the cold brew. So I am 100% powered by First Form this morning. We'll throw them on as a sponsor since that happened to work out so well here in a minute. This would normally not be something that would rise to the level of something that I would make a video on, because you guys don't need that in your life, right? Well, I was reading it, and I, quite frankly, got hacked off, because it is my opinion that the ATF just straight up lied to the Supreme Court of the United States. There should be stiff penalties for this sort of thing. They have absolutely misrepresented what an 80% quote unquote frame or receiver is for political gain. To bolster their positions, they have absolutely mischaracterized what this thing is to the Supreme Court. And it is my hope that with your guys' help, we can make enough noise that maybe somebody somewhere that needs to see this video and mine the truth out of this absolute facade that they're putting on and come to the rightful conclusion that this thing that they're trying to do extends past the powers that were granted to them by Congress. So sound off in the comment section down below if you believe that the ATF is outright lying to the SCOTUS. That and more after we hear a quick word from today's sponsor. Those of you who follow the channel for any length of time will know that I'm a gym rat. And if you are similar, you know that just spend a fair amount of money on supplements on a regular basis. And there's always this question in the back of your mind, are my expenditures going to support some trash company somewhere that doesn't really care about American values? Well, I have found a company known as First Form that is a pro-freedom supplement company. Well, over the course of the last couple months, I've developed a relationship with the people over at First Form, and I've tried pretty much every product that they make. Basically, I would explain it like this. You probably don't eat enough protein. Their whole impetus is to get as much protein in your face hole as possible. There's literally First Form trash stuffed in the recesses of my desk. In some of my other reads, I'm going to focus on individual products. So if there's something you guys are interested in, let me know and I'll focus on that. And there's an affiliate link over at the affiliates page and on the link tree. It tells First Form that I sent you. So if you'd use that, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you order over a certain dollar amount, there is free shipping. So thanks to First Form for being who they are and making content like this one possible. Congress has long required commercial manufacturers and sellers of firearms and firearm frames and receivers to mark their products with serial numbers, maintain sale records, and conduct background checks to keep guns away from minors, felons, domestic abusers, and other prohibited persons. Those uncontroversial requirements, I would argue that they are controversial and unconstitutional, but that's an argument for another day, are essential to preventing and solving gun crimes. Also, strongly disagree. I have to stop doing this. We'll just finish reading it. But in recent years, the manufacturer respondents asserted that they could avoid those requirements altogether by selling firearms as easy to assemble kits or by selling frames and receivers that require a few minutes of work to be made functional, a process they touted as a small amount of finishing, dummy-proof and ridiculously easy and capable of completion in as little as 15 minutes. And of course, they cite the Gun Violence Prevention Group. This is an outright lie, but let's keep reading. Let's get through all this bullcrap, and then I can actually break loose. A frame or receiver is still a frame or receiver, even if the buyer must remove some superfluous plastic rails or drill a few holes to make it functional. Respondents have no good answer to that straightforward textual analysis. You know why they haven't given you a good answer to that straightforward textual analysis? Because what you just said is complete and utter bullshit that is divorced from reality. That is not what an 80% frame or receiver is. As someone who has completed 80% receivers, I've done a few AR-15 ones, I've got some handgun ones. As someone who has failed to complete an 80% receiver, as in it did not work when I had completed it, I can say that that is a straight up lie. That is not what an 80% receiver is. So let's just take the 80% AR-15 receiver, because the AR-15 is the most popular firearm in the United States, well beyond common use. So we could assume that the 80% lower receiver would also be a very popular thing. You do not just have to drill some holes and put the parts in. You have to hog out a multi-dimensional space. It's not just a rectangular prism of material that you have to remove. It's got different depths. Some of it goes all the way through. It has to be the correct dimension, because if it is wrong, then the trigger components will not fit down inside of it. They will slop around and cause the firearm to malfunction. They cannot be too tight or they will not fit, and they have to be homed in the correct dimension relative to one another, or the trigger components will not function. This is considerably more difficult than some superfluous plastic or drilling some holes. That's like saying that it only takes 15 seconds to swap out a brake pad. Yes, the actual act of taking the brake pad out of the caliper and putting a new one in its space probably only takes a couple of seconds. But there is considerably more stuff on either side of that tiny fraction of the action that takes up considerably more time and effort and expertise to do than the take the thing out and put the thing back in, the small part that you focused on. This person that wrote this, either A, has never made anything in their entire life, as in they've never even picked up a tool, not even a wrench or screwdriver in their entire life, much less any experience on the subject matter that we're discussing here, or they are categorically mischaracterizing on purpose what it is that they are talking about. In fact, I would say that I've done some projects with a few 80% companies over the years. And like a really good example is, remember the video where we shot 1,000 rounds in less than 20 minutes through a Glock? That was an 80% lower frame that was completed by the company, because I told them that as an FFL, they have the ability to do that. I'm an FFL, they have the ability to send it to me. So it's all legal. And I would not voluntarily subject myself to the ordeal of finishing an 80% receiver ever again. The only person ever that has completed an 80% anything in 15 minutes or less is someone who has gone out and purchased a 6-figure CNC milling machine and has paid a trained employee that makes about 80 grand a year to program that thing to finish that device in that amount of time. Other than that, it is not possible. There are some CNC milling machines out that have attempted to do this on a much smaller scale, but I guarantee you they don't take 15 minutes to do it either. What I'm telling you is that the ATF and their amici in this brief has straight up lied to the Supreme Court in an effort to get this past them and portray these things as something that is just, you pop out of the box, you get out your screw gun, and you zip, 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 and then you can just bolt it right on to the rest of the components that you purchased across the internet. And voila, we can have the Wild Wild West again. That's what they're portraying in this response. And it is absolutely unconscionable and disgusting to me that they might actually get away with passing this off as truthful. So I ask you, if you've even observed somebody do anything pertaining to 80%, sound off in the comment section down below, letting everybody who comes to this video know that this is absolutely lying on a grand scale. And that's what I have for you guys here today. Thanks for tuning into the VSO Gun Channel. Hopefully we'll see you on another one here pretty soon.